Haribo, Hare Krishna. Haribo,
Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Hare Krishna. Haribo, Hare Krishna. Haribo, Hare Krishna. 1, 2, 2.
Where are we?
Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Bố ít kỹ bé. Ít cái chữ tự
Great Garden,
Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Sunday.
We're in Taiping Garden.
Haribo, Hare Krishna. 1, 2. Sound 1, 2. Haribo.
Nào để đi.
Smile.
Nah, see?
Papa
Nah, here. Nah.
Asam kuah lah asam.
Radha.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I notice that people are not sitting closely, but I can promise you I don't bite. I promise. You can all come closer. Then I don't have to shout. Okay. 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 So we're going to be giving away prizes a little later to the people sitting in the front here. So those who want to get their prize, you come closer. And we're going to be giving special Ashirvad also. So those who are coming up front, we give them guaranteed to go back home, back to Godhead in this life. Those in the back, maybe next time.
Sit nearer.
So one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to go back home, back to Godhead. Because you all want to do that, yes? How many people want to go back to Godhead? You know who's there? Krishna and Radha and all your friends that you're reading about. They're all waiting for you to come back. But in order to come back, we have to follow the process given by Srila Prabhupada. If we don't do it right, we don't get the result. Just like anything else, if you don't do something right, you don't get the result. So I'm going to teach you how to do everything right so you get the result. So the first thing that we're taught is that before we do anything, we offer our glorification to Guru, Gauranga, and Sri Krishna in that order. That's why we always start off like this. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajarine Nirvisata Suryavadi Bhasyatu Desatarine. की जय, जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So this mantra, Hare Krishna, you should understand the deep meaning. This mantra is Krishna Nam. Krishna Nam, non-different than Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself. This Mahamantra is also Krishna Rupa, Krishna Vigraha. It's in the form of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that form is non-different than Krishna's threefold bending form, playing the flute. And the qualities of the Mahamantra, that it cleanses the impurities from the heart and brings out Krishna Prema, is non-different than the qualities of Krishna himself. The beauty of the Mahamantra is non-different than the beauty of Sri Krishna. The holy dham of Krishna, the Mahamantra is also the holy dham because it's the abode where we take shelter, where our consciousness goes to take shelter of Sri Krishna. We go to the holy abode, the holy dham of the Mahamantra. And this Mahamantra was given to us by our most dearly beloved, pure devotee associate of Sri Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. It was his gift to us. When someone gives you such a gift, then you have to receive it with so much love, so much affection, and you have to reciprocate. You have to give your gratitude. You have to let Krishna know and Prabhupada know that I really appreciate this gift that you've given to me. And how do you let them know that? By accepting this gift and applying it in your life very seriously. We have to become very dedicated to chanting this Mahamantra. We have to become determined to overcome the Maya that enters our minds while we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Because by chanting this Mahamantra, we become free from the material energy. We become purified from everything material so that at the end of this life, we can return back to Krishna's Nitya Leela. We can enter back into that Nitya Leela and associate directly with Krishna face to face. How is that? Because this is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He just doesn't want to just liberate people and give mukti. That anybody can do. So many yogis are doing that. So many gurus are promising mukti. But what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He wants to give much more than mukti. He wants to bring you back to the private life of Krishna. Not the public life, but the private life. I give you an example between public life and private life. You have Prime Minister here. So in the public life of the Prime Minister, he's the number one citizen. If the President of America comes to Malaysia, he meets with the Prime Minister, they have photos, they have discussions in the office, maybe they have a big state dinner and they invite all the ministers and their wives, right? We may not be invited. But that's the public life. But what is the private life of that Prime Minister? He goes home to his wife and family, and they don't treat him like the Prime Minister, they just treat him like the children, like their daddy. Daddy, give me some money. I need this. I'm hungry. I want to do this. I want to go here. The wife says, I need new jewelry. I need new clothes. Everything I have is old. So they're not treating him with respect. They're treating him very intimately. They're speaking to him as an equal. Is it not? That's the private life of the Prime Minister. Public life, you cannot treat him as an equal. You have to be very respectful. Otherwise, you won't be invited anywhere. They won't like you. So similarly, we're being invited to the private life of Krishna. The public life of Krishna is where he's Vishnu. And he accepts puja. And he gives Ashirvad. And everybody's offering Dandavat pranams. That's the public life of Krishna as Bhagavan Sri Vishnu. But Lord Chaitanya wants to bring people back to Krishna's private life, where he's no longer Bhagavan, but he's just Yashoda Dulal, where he's the darling of the gopis and the cowherd boys, where everybody just loves him, and he's just a young boy playing on his flute, herding the cows, and performing different pranks with his friends. So that private life of Krishna is the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada was sent specifically to spread Lord Chaitanya's mission all over the world, because Lord Chaitanya wasn't satisfied just bringing back the Bengalis and Indians back to Krishna's private life. He wanted to give everybody a chance, even the Americans, even the Malaysians. Everybody was included. So that was Prabhupada's mission, to take this teaching to every town and every village. And so now, in the village of Taiping, devotees are chanting Hare Krishna, and they have the access of that mantra to go back home, back to Krishna's private life. When Prabhupada said back to home, back to Godhead, it means to your home, where you live eternally with Krishna. It doesn't mean back to some place where it's like Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. No, it's your home. With private life with Krishna, where you can enjoy with Krishna and see him face to face and take lunch with him. Who wants to have lunch with Krishna? So here we are in the park, having our lunch and having Harikatha. And Krishna does that every day in Goloka Vrindavan with his friends. Mother Yashoda packs him a lunch, and the other cowherd boys, they have their lunches. And they exchange different preparations. Someone says, give me your sweet ball, I'll give you my pakoda. And in this way, they're enjoying wonderful pastimes with Sri Krishna. And they all sit in a circle like this around Sri Krishna. And Krishna's looking at everybody. And even though there's people all around him, everyone sees that Krishna's looking directly at me. Even the ones who are behind Krishna, when they look at Krishna, they see Krishna's face and they think he's looking directly at me. How is that possible? For us, this is impossible. But for Krishna, he can do anything. When he's dancing with the gopis, every gopi is thinking, oh, I'm so fortunate. I have Krishna with me. She can't see that Krishna's with the others. She's thinking, only I have Krishna. And everyone has got Krishna and thinking she only has Krishna and the others don't. So how can Krishna do like this? Because he is Sarva Shaktiman. He is the controller of all Shaktis. What is impossible for us is nothing. It's a snap of the finger for Krishna. And so we'd like to go back and associate with this wonderful person who is actually our best friend. And that's why everybody loves him so much, because he is the best friend of everybody. He never harms anybody except the demons, of course. But he's always giving his blessings, even to the demons, because when he kills them, after they die, they go to Vaikuntha. So they also get a blessing, you know. So So Prabhupada said, if Krishna kisses you or kills you, get the same result. Same result. Whether he kisses you or kills you, same result. Back to home, back to Godhead. You become pure. So this Maha Mantra is this secret of success. Because Lord Chaitanya took this Maha Mantra out of the temples, and this was only chanted by Brahmanas. No one else was allowed to chant this mantra. No one even knew this mantra, because this mantra was written in Sanskrit in the Kalisantara Upanishad. The common people could not understand or read Sanskrit. They were not allowed to study these shastras. Only the Brahmins knew this. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took this knowledge, took the shastra, took the mantra out of the temples and distributed freely to everybody. The Brahmanas didn't like that. What did they do? They went to the Qazi to try and stop him. Stop this Nimai Pandit. You know this story? You know the story? Yes? One person doesn't know, then someone has to tell him. Everyone else knows? No? Okay, so the Brahmanas didn't like that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving this mantra to everybody. And now all the different castes and all the different low, so-called low, unfortunate, poor people who weren't Brahmins, who didn't have a special place in society, Lord Chaitanya freely gave them this mantra, and they were dancing and chanting in ecstasy, and they were so happy. And the Brahmanas, they didn't like that, because previously they had the full control, and now they've lost their control. So they went to the magistrate of the town. In those days, the Muslims were occupying India. So the magistrate in the town of Navadvip was a Muslim named Chand Kazi. So they complained to the Qazi that this Nimai Pandit, this upstart, he is taking the sacred mantras out of the temple and distributing it to the common people. And in this way, he is disturbing the sanctity of our dharma. This is meant only to be chanted in the sacred precincts of the temple by qualified priests. It's not meant for everybody. That was the first point. The second point is, now these low-class people who were never allowed in the temple, now they're thinking they have some freedom, and they're chanting and dancing, and there will be some disturbance in the town. Because you give them an inch, they will take a mile. So when the Qazi heard that there would be a disturbance, you know, his whole program is to keep law and order and peace in the community. So he said, don't worry, I'll put a stop to this. And he passed a law. He made a new ordinance in that town that kirtan was illegal. And anyone who chanted this Maha Mantra and did kirtan with madanga and kartal, singing, dancing, was breaking the law and would go to jail. So then that news came around the town. But Lord Chaitanya said, you don't worry, everyone, you please come to my residence. He was inviting people to his residence every evening for chanting and dancing and Hare Krishna Kirtan. So one evening, and everyone was in ecstasy chanting Hare Krishna, some officers of the law came and they stopped the kirtan and they took the clay mridangas and they smashed them on the ground. And they said, this is illegal. Now we're giving you a warning. But next time, if we catch anybody chanting this Hare Krishna, straight to the jail. Does that sound familiar? Even today they're doing like this in some countries. So then the officers left and all the people were so unhappy. They were thinking, oh, we had some fresh life, things were looking really good, and now again we are smashed. Now again we will be downtrodden. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, please don't feel sad. We will not obey this new law. We will have a civil disobedience. He said, you go home to your family members and you tell your friends and relatives to come tomorrow to my home. I want thousands of people to come, and we'll have a Maha Kirtan in defiance of this new ordinance, of this law. So everybody liked that. But evil! So the next day, thousands of people came. They had so many mridangas and kartals. People were blowing conchs. They were waving flags. And Sri Chaitanya started up this Maha Kirtan, and it was uproarious. And then Mahaprabhu said, we will take this Kirtan through the town to the house of the Qazi to show him that we are not accepting this new ordinance. So this was the first civil disobedience movement in India 400 years before Gandhi. They think that Gandhi was the first because they don't know the history. This was 400 years before Gandhi. Gandhi was inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, followed in his footsteps, this civil disobedience. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took his group and they were doing Nagar Kirtan through the town of Navadvip to the house of the Qazi, and everyone was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now it was evening, the sun had set. Qazi's in his home, ready to take his meal. It was a nice, peaceful day for him. All of a sudden, his servant runs in. He says, there's a big disturbance in the town. Really? What is it? It's Nimai Pandit. And he has thousands of people, and they're all defying your new order, and they're all chanting Hare Krishna, and they're coming this way. The Qazi ran to the window, and he saw this huge kirtan group, chanting and dancing loudly, coming closer and closer to his house. He was terrified. He ran upstairs and locked the door. But Nimai Pandit, he was a great saintly person. He didn't want to do any harm for anybody. So he stopped short of the home and he sent his number one assistant, Nityananda Prabhu, to knock on the door and invite the Qazi to have a discussion about the new law based on Shastra. And the Qazi can choose whatever Shastra he wants to discuss. So the Qazi came down and says, okay, we can have nice discussion. Let's discuss based on Quran. Nimai Pandit said, yes, we can do like that. So they had a discussion, and then within 20 minutes, Nimai Pandit had quoted all the shlokas from the Quran to substantiate that chanting the names of the Lord is the highest dharma. And the Qazi was surprised. Yeah, how he knows these things. And so he agreed, yes, you're right. According to the Quran, what you're doing is not wrong. I have made a mistake. So he said, I will change that law. I will wipe out that law. And from now on, as long as either myself or any of my descendants are in charge of Navadvip town, we will give you free sanction that you can always chant this Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Kirtan throughout the town forever and ever. So nowadays, 500 years later, at the time of Gaur Purnima, thousands and thousands of people come from all over the world. And there are so many kirtan parties chanting through Navadvip and Mayapur. And then there's one special place where there's the tomb of the Qazi. And all the kirtan parties, they go to that tomb and they circumambulate chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's the story of how he took the mantra out of the temples, and then he spread it all over India. And then Prabhupada came and spread it all over the world. But what he did, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took that mantra out of the temple, he did something to that mantra. Previously, it was known as the Maha Mantra. But what he did was he broke open the storehouse of Krishna Prema and he distributed it freely to everyone by putting the Krishna Prema into the Maha Mantra. So the Maha Mantra became the Prema Mantra, the Krishna Prema Mantra. Now, how did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put the Krishna Prema into the mantra? Does anybody know how he did it? Should I tell you? He put the Prema into the mantra the same way that the cook puts the sabji into the samosa. Right? You put the sabji in the samosa, you bite into the samosa and you taste that sabji. So you put the prema into the mantra in the same way, and when you chant that mantra with full care and attention, you experience and taste the nectar of Krishna Prema. This is what Prabhupada has given to us. But you have to do it right. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. I'll give you an example. Everybody here in their lifetime at one time or another has experienced having a headache, yes? Everybody has had a headache? And what happens when you get a headache? You have to go to the pharmacy and get headache medicine, is it not? You get that medicine, you come home, you take it with water, and swallow it, and in half an hour, headache goes away, is it not? Now, how does that medicine work to make the headache go away? Nobody knows. What's even in that pill? Nobody knows either. Do you have to know? You don't have to know. If you know or you don't know, it works, right? It still works. But supposing, now that's the right way to get rid of your headache, but supposing you go to the pharmacy, you get the same medicine, but instead of taking it with water and swallowing it, you just hold it in your hand. And you hold it in your hand for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, very sincerely, very determined, dedicated to holding that pill in your hand. Will your headache go away? No, you did something wrong. What did you do wrong? You didn't swallow it. You understand? Same medicine, but you did it wrong. So we have the Maha Mantra. Same medicine, but if you don't chant it properly, you don't get the results. It has to be done right. And what is the right way to do it? With care and attention. Care means with feeling, with devotion. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Yes? Bhakti Yoga? You know? What is bhakti? Devotion. So you have to chant the mantra with devotion, with love. You know, the mother, sometimes she sings to the child. What do we call that? A lullaby, right? She's singing out of love for the child, isn't it? So we have to sing that same way, chant this Hare Krishna mantra for Krishna out of love. That's with care, with devotion, and with attention. Our full consciousness should be there. We shouldn't be thinking this thought and that thought and so many different thoughts. You understand? Now, supposing this nice devotee here, what's your name? Subal Sham. Supposing he comes to me and he wants to say something to me nicely. He wants to share some good news. And he's speaking to me and telling me all this wonderful thing. But then he notices that I'm kind of looking around like this. And he says, "Are you listening? Did you hear what I said?" And I say, oh, I'm very sorry. My mind was wandering. I was thinking this and thinking that. I didn't really hear. You understand what I'm saying? Now, how will he feel? He'll feel not good? Will he think that maybe I was rude? Will he think that maybe I was insulting him? Would he think maybe I wasn't giving him respect? Yes? And he's right. So, when we're chanting Hare Krishna, why are we doing this to Krishna? Instead of giving our full focus of attention to Krishna, our thoughts are coming this and that, and we're focusing on so many things. Krishna might feel that we're not giving him respect. Krishna might feel that we're not, well, that we're insulting him, huh? That we're not sincere. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we want to do it in a way not to insult Krishna, not to disrespect Krishna, but to do it with feeling and with full consciousness. That's the right way to chant Hare Krishna. And when you chant Hare Krishna that way, what do you experience? Krishna Prema. And when you chant the wrong way, what do you experience? You still get some tiny benefit, but you don't get Krishna Prema. That you don't get. You get some benefit because Krishna Prema is so powerful. Even if you hold it in your hand, you get some benefit. It's not like the headache medicine, you get zero. You get some benefit, but you don't get Krishna Prema. You don't get Ananda. You don't get ecstatic bliss. You don't go back to Godhead. You don't enter back into the private life of Krishna. So how many people here chant japa? How many people are chanting japa? Almost everybody. So when you're chanting japa, is your mind wandering?
Yes.
So many thoughts? Really? Then maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe Krishna is feeling that you're not giving him respect. Maybe we're not giving Krishna the proper respect. Is that possible? Krishna deserves our full attention, yes or no? And we're not giving it. How can we expect to get a loving relationship with someone if we're not giving them proper respect? You understand? Now, Prabhupada says that when you chant Hare Krishna, sometimes your mind begins thinking of Krishna Leela. And immediately you're with Krishna in some Krishna Leela. So how many people here, when they chant Hare Krishna, immediately their mind goes to Krishna Leela and they're in Krishna Leela? How many people? How many people, when they're chanting the Maha Mantra, their mind goes to their own Leela, my own Leela, my own life, my past, my present, my future? Aha! We're going to the wrong Leela. That's the problem. So now we know we're not doing it right. We're doing wrong. So we have to make correction. If you're doing something wrong, you have to correct. Is that right? Okay. Same in my country. So everybody know this verse in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekang sharanam vraja. Everybody know this verse? How many people know this verse? What does it mean? It means, Krishna says, make me number one, give up everything else, and make me number one. Krishna wants to be number one in your life. But when you chant japa, where does your mind go? To Krishna Leela or your own Leela? To your own Leela. That means you're number one. Krishna's number two. Or maybe 10, I don't know. But you are number one in your life, because as soon as you start thinking, you always go to your own Leela, to my life, not to Krishna's. Sometimes a mother, when she's thinking, her mind goes to her baby's life. Is it not? Sometimes when a young couple gets married, the wife, her mind goes to thoughts of her husband. And her husband goes to thoughts to her. That's in the beginning. Later on, it's back to my own Leela again. So Krishna's saying that if you make yourself number one, this will not help you. Lord Chaitanya said, Janma sarta korikora para upakar, that you perfect your life not by making yourself number one, not by thinking of yourself number one, but by making Krishna number one. Krishna seva, and serving others and giving Krishna to others. This is how you perfect your life. So when we chant japa, we want to be thinking of Krishna. Because when we chant japa and we think of Krishna, that's like taking the headache medicine, putting in your mouth and drinking with water. Headache will go away. The material headache will go away. But if we start thinking about my own life, either past, present, or future, that's like holding the medicine in the hand. Don't get the result. Everybody understand what I just said?
Yes.
So we have to make a change in our life. Starting when? From this moment on, right now, right? From this moment on. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. So this is what you have to do from now on. When you chant japa in the morning, before you begin, sit nicely, or as Prabhupada would say, sit properly. Take a few deep breaths, because that helps to calm the mind. And then what you're going to do, you're going to do a little meditation before you chant the japa. And you're going to say a prayer to Krishna. You can say your own prayer, but I'll tell you, my idea. And by telling you my idea, you can get your own idea. Or you can also follow my idea as you like. But basically, what I came up with was like this. That I'll say a little prayer to Krishna, and I want to thank Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, for everything you've given to me, for all the blessings you've given to me in my life. I want to thank you for every breath that I take that keeps me alive. I want to thank you for the water that quenches my thirst, and for the prasadam that gives me strength. I want to thank you for the clothing that keeps me warm in the winter and cool in the summer. I want to thank you for the shelter that protects me from the rain and the storms. I want to thank you for everything. And I want to give you a gift. This is what I say to Krishna. I'm not only thanking you by words, but I want to give you something. And what am I going to give you? I'm going to give you a mantra full of love and devotion. What Prabhupada calls an offenseless mantra. And so I close my eyes, and with full love and concentration, I chant on the first bead, slowly with love, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, with no thought. And that one first mantra of the first round, I offer to Krishna. Then I chant the rest of the round, and I finish round one. Then at the beginning of round two, I do the same thing. I say, Krishna, I want to give you a gift to say thank you. I want to give you a mantra full of love and devotion. And again, the first mantra of the second round, the second mala, I chant really slow with devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then I finish that round. And I do this for every round. So at the end of 16 rounds, I've chanted 16 mantras offenselessly, full of love and devotion for Krishna. as a way to say thank you for Krishna, and as a gift, as my giving a gift to Krishna. And every day we do that. Every day you chant 16 offenseless mantras. Now what happens after a couple of weeks of this? Those 16 offenseless mantras every day, they are purifying your heart so much that you begin to taste Krishna Prema. You begin to feel ecstatic again. People notice that you're always smiling. You're always chanting Hare Krishna to the birds, to the trees, to the flowers. You're happy, you're joyful. People notice it, and you feel so much better. And then what happens is you decide, why don't I do the first 2 mantras like that every day instead of just 1? I'm feeling so good doing 1. Let me try doing 2. So then, at the beginning of every round, the first 2 mantras I offer as a gift to Krishna, as my way of saying thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I can do those 2 mantras without any thought in my mind, because I've already trained my mind on the 1 mantra 16 times every day. So now I'm doing 2 every day. So at the end of my japa, I've chanted 32 mantras offenselessly, full of love and devotion, as an offering of thanks to Krishna. You understand? What happens then? You make even more advancement very, very quickly. You understand the process? And you want to keep increasing. Now what happens is you're going to be training up your mind step by step, slowly, 1 mantra at a time, to think of Krishna. So after several years, you've finished with your bad habit of chanting japa and only thinking of your Leela, and now you're thinking of Krishna only. Is that a good idea? Yes. Is that what we all want? Yes. Now I'm told you how to do it. Step by step, slowly, 1 mantra at a time, to ensure success. Now, has anybody seen the Petronas Towers in KL? Tallest building. Has anybody tried to walk up from the bottom to the top? No. Why not? Too long, too difficult. No one will make it. You get too tired, right? So what do? You take the lift, yes? It's easier. So this method of chanting japa that I just told you, that's like taking the lift back to Krishna. The way you're doing it, the wrong way, is walking up the steps of the Petronas Towers, and you're never going to make it back to home, back to Godhead. So now I've taught you how to take the lift back to Krishna. Are you happy? Yes. Were you going to do it? Yes. Very good. So now you know how to take the lift back to home, back to Godhead. Haribo! But there's another method of going back to home, back to Godhead. The rocket ship method. Who wants to know the rocket ship? It's faster than the lift. Okay. Are you ready? So, in the rocket ship method, you keep doing the first step that I taught you, but you're going to add another step. In order to add the second step, you have to get a recording of Prabhupada chanting japa. And most people have them. You can get them in India, or you can probably get them here also in some temple. Just a little box, turn it on, and Prabhupada's chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right? You've heard? So you want to get that when you're chanting japa. And now, after you finish doing your offering of love to Krishna and thanking him with your offenseless mantras, then you put on Prabhupada chanting, and the rest of your round you chant exactly synchronized with Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You have to stay exactly in sync with Prabhupada. Now there's a very important reason why you have to stay in sync. Because as soon as your mind wants to wander, you'll lose the synchronization. And as soon as you're out of step with Prabhupada, you'll realize, oops, I'm out of step. And you'll stop that thought and you'll get back into synchronization with Prabhupada. So what you're doing now is taking control of the mind and making sure it's focused so that you can stay step by step synchronized with Srila Prabhupada. Now it'll take a little practice, but after a few times you can do it. After a few days you'll have it down. And now your mind won't wander because you'll be focused on keeping in sync with Srila Prabhupada. Now what happens when you're chanting japa every day, offering your mantras to Krishna, the first few mantras, and then the rest of the japa doing in sync with Srila Prabhupada? What happens then? You not only hear your japa, but you hear Prabhupada's japa every day also. You get a double Shakti. The Bhakti Shakti becomes doubled. You hear the mantra that you're chanting and you hear the mantra that Prabhupada's chanting. Now whose chanting is more powerful, mine or Prabhupada's? Prabhupada's. So I get even greater benefit by hearing Prabhupada's than I do by hearing mine. So I do this every day now, train myself. And after a few years, you become a pure devotee. That's what happens. You will become a pure devotee. What does that mean, pure devotee? It means that you're only thinking of Krishna day and night. It means that you relish the kirtan. You relish reading Krishna Leela. You love to read Prabhupada's books. You love to serve the Vaishnavas. You love to go to the temple. You love to do seva to the Sri Murtis. You love everything about Krishna consciousness, and you're in ecstatic bliss moment to moment to moment. That's what's going to happen to you. If you don't want to be in ecstatic bliss moment to moment, then don't follow what I said. Just stay the way you are now. But if you want to make a change,